6 o'clock by Apple time, and I'll call this meeting to order. As usual, we'll open with prayer and Brent Parker.
Almighty God, thank you for bringing everybody here safe tonight. We pray for you to provide guidance and also empathy and stability to this. Wish for everybody to go home safely and have a great rest of the day. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, public comments. We have what I hope will be a relatively short, short meeting tonight. We'll start off with Jerry Norton.
Jerry, you got about 3 minutes to fix your day. They'll be thrilled to know that. Good evening, everyone. The primary mission of the North Harris County Regional Water Authority, the authority, is to secure a long-term supply of quality surface water and to facilitate the transition to surface water in compliance with the Harris Galveston Subsidence District requirements. Effective leadership requires confidence and clarification on issues of concern. Your constituents need to know that there will be no disincentive fees. The authority will purchase the overconversions and education credits necessary to offset any surface water conversion deficit. The authority will continue to finance and construct the 2025 and 2035 distribution systems as quickly as possible, thereby meeting the Harris Galveston Subsidence District mandate and eliminating the disincentive fee. Your constituents need to have a realistic water rate plan. The fact that water rates need to increase substantially is no secret to the people who have been listening and paying attention. We told you that reducing the rates was a bad idea. Increasing the rates is very difficult and would ultimately cost the authority more money in the long run. Well, that time is approaching quickly as you ignore your rate study and your consultant's recommendations. True leadership would propose a comprehensive water rate plan incorporating a 10-year projection. This would help MUDs to plan and strategize their own rates and expenses moving forward. These two issues of concern are simple and reasonable. What is the holdup? An election, new legislation? Both issues of concern will need to be addressed regardless of the upcoming election or future legislation. Continue to seek additional time within the current mandate while making our best effort to comply. This makes too much common sense. Will an authority board member show true leadership and communicate with your constituents? Place forward a resolution, clarify the plan, strategy, and mission of the authority. Reaffirm that there will be no disincentive fees and put forward a 10-year projected water rate plan. I will take this opportunity to ask our District 3 representative, Melissa Rao, to support an educational tour for the authority of Harris County Freshwater Supply District 61's water facility, newly converted to surface water. This will be an example of current technology and multiple types of equipment combined with methods and strategies being designed and operated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Richard Harmon.
Jerry said what I was going to say, so I don't need to say anything else. I think enough has been said on it.
Can I have your 3 minutes?
Not if you're just gonna repeat it. Okay, is there anybody else that wishes to make public comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to board member messages. I guess I'll start down there with Ron.
I have nothing.
I would, if you don't mind, appreciate an invitation to that plant tour. I know that was one of the first things I did when I got elected to the board, and things have changed. We now got surface water in the mix, and so you'd be so gracious.
I appreciate all the board members.
Next. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'd first like to thank Jerry Holman for extending the invitation to the educational tour of your facility. I think seeing the operations firsthand will be beneficial, and I encourage the directors to come and participate. So I believe Jerry would also, get our schedule and be sure, it works for everybody. So thank you for that. I attended Commissioner Tom Ramsey's town hall last week, where a mud director, who's a fellow realtor, he's in the audience, fellow BJMer, he expressed concern that the authorities board isn't listening. I welcome constructive feedback from our member districts and would appreciate hearing any specific concerns so we can address them. Please don't hesitate to call, email, text, or submit comments through the authorities website. I believe hearing directly from our member districts makes us a better board. I'd also like to clarify one point for the record. This board has consistently approved water infrastructure projects when they come before us. We have not delayed or stopped water infrastructure projects. As our GM has publicly stated, the authority was already 5 years behind its conversion schedule before the current board was elected. Many of the factors contributing to those delays, including easement acquisition, permitting, supply chain challenges, and other external issues, have been outside the board's direct control. That's why I asked Commissioner Tom Ramsey whether Harris County regional water authorities, utility districts, local and state agencies, and the legislature could work together to identify ways to shorten easement acquisition timelines while still protecting private property rights. If we can reduce those delays, we can accelerate infrastructure delivery and better serve our ratepayers. Lastly, to my fellow board members, I would like us to continue exploring whether the Harris, Galveston Subsidence District would consider a limited amendment to our regulatory timeline. To be clear, the North Harris County Regional Water Authority is not behind on the 2035 conversion milestone, but we are approximately 5 years behind on meeting the 2025 conversion milestone, primarily because of the time required to construct major regional infrastructure. Being behind on the 2025 milestone has real consequences for our ratepayers. It increases the likelihood that we may need to purchase conversion credits, purchase education credits, potentially pay disincentive fees, and accelerate infrastructure spending, which can increase borrowing costs and place additional financial pressure on our ratepayers. Recently, I reviewed the March 30th, 2026 Groundwater Management Area 14, which is GMA 14, the planning committee meeting that I did attend earlier this year. During that discussion, participants acknowledged that the Fort Bend Subsidence District's regulatory plan had already been deviated from, and that conversion deadlines had already been moved to 2030 in some areas. The discussion also recognized that Subsidence District regulatory timelines can change. One participant stated they can push those deadlines as they deem fit. Another participant reminded the committee, and I quote again, "We're not making the 10 Commandments here. We can revisit this in a couple of years and change." That discussion raised an important policy question. If regulatory schedules can be adjusted when circumstances warrant, shouldn't the North Harris County Regional Water Authority at least request a discussion about whether a limited adjustment to our 2025 conversion timeline would better protect our ratepayers while still achieving the long-term objective of groundwater conversion? Our goal would not be to avoid conversion. Our goal would be to achieve conversion responsibly while minimizing unnecessary costs for the people who ultimately pay for this infrastructure. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll Yeah, I've got one thing to talk about. I don't know if anybody noticed in the news, they say it might be Iranian, it might be any number of players that have been sabotaging buds around the country. I think it would behoove us to do some sort of security audit, and I'll bring that up at the end as a future program.
Kind of related to that, and I don't know if this question is directed more to Zach or maybe to Jim. I know that the MUDs are required to take like an annual or biannual security training related specifically to that. Does this board have to take any of that?
Board doesn't have to, staff.
Okay. That does. Okay, well, I don't have any prepared comments. I would just note that the last couple of months have, from my perspective, been very productive in a number of different ways without going into all the details. So, look forward to that continuing. Okay, we'll move on to number 4, approving the minutes from the July 6th regular meeting. I think that's in tab 2. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Director Rowell has motioned that we adopt the minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously adopted. Thank you, members. That moves us to number 5, Finance Director's report.
The financial report is as of June 30th, 2026. The detailed reports are in your board packets and posted on the website. The design, engineering, construction, acquisition, consultant expense checks presented for your authorization and signature. And I'd like to, the total of the checks is $6,705,610.93. Okay, to request authorization for payment.
That seemed a little low for some reason for that.
I think we've closed out a couple projects, so it's not happening.
Move approval of the financial report.
Okay, it's been moved by Director Fessler that we approve the financial report and payment of bills. I have one other quick item of discussion, just an informal request. I love David's chart, but what I would dearly love is if you could put decimal points on these numbers where we could see a little more granular. I know you're doing this to get it all on the same scale and all that kind of thing, but if you could put a decimal point on that, it would help out just a little bit. No, very informal request. Okay, we have a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There's none, it's unanimously approved. Thank you, Cindy. Annual review of investments. How is that going to be handled today? Okay.
Hi, first I would like to introduce the authority's investment advisors. We have Ben Norden and Zach Brewer of PTMA, and they'd like to present an update on our on investments in our investment portfolio. So Ben is going to take over and go through his presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. So, just to start, Ash Mehta did leave our firm. He left on good terms and had another opportunity. So, when Ash left a couple of months ago, the account was transferred under to my assignment. So, I've been on the account for several months at this point. And Zach Brewer is also with us here today. He's based here in Houston and focuses on our some of our Celtic services. I'll open with a kind of viewpoint on where we're at with the overall economy, and then we'll take a look at the portfolio itself and wrap up with a review of the investment policy. So those are the 3 things, but I am here to make sure that you all have a good understanding and the topics you're interested in are covered. So feel free to ask questions. That's really what I'm
Are you located in Carolinas or wherever that was?
So PTMA has offices across the country. I'm in the St. Louis Park, Minnesota office, which is just to the west of the Twin Cities. So I'm based out of Minnesota. I guess, yeah, also some background on me, I should open with that. I've been in the industry for 10 years, focused exclusively on fixed income for that entire time. I have undergraduate and graduate degrees in economics and financial analyst. So this has been my focus for many years, and just the only new part here is the assignment of this account to my oversight. So where are we at from a macro perspective? This is going to be entirely focused on second calendar quarter, so the second 3 months of the year. And clearly there, the leading storyline has been the increase in energy prices globally. So that is, comes through to the consumer primarily through fuel costs, both for home and travel. But pump prices have meaningfully increased. And this leads to kind of two-sided risks that we see. So one is very clear. The first order effect would be inflation is going to move higher as a major commodity price moves higher. We are seeing that. We'll talk about that more on an upcoming slide. The maybe more nuanced side of this is that if energy prices get too high, it can be a slowdown on overall growth. 2/3 of the economy is driven by consumer spending, and if consumers are diverting more of their resources to energy costs, they have less funds available to spend on other discretionary items, and that can be a slowdown on overall economic activity. We did get really positive news on that front on Friday. So second quarter GDP came out, and that was at 1.5%. So that's low single digits, but positive growth, and that was widely what the consensus expected return was by the market. The item I would highlight there is how well the consumer did. So these are still relatively new numbers here. The consumer spending increased to 2.1% in the second quarter compared to 1.5% in the first quarter. So really, that was a strong news for the consumer. And at these levels, so this range between $70 and $110 a barrel, consumer has continued to spend here in a really healthy manner, and that's constructive for the overall economy. So inflation, we're going to now look at two halves of the Fed mandate. In the portfolio we run for the district, we're going out to about 3 years, but the Fed has really close controls over highly rated short-term fixed income, so this is the space we're investing in. And inflation has been above target for several years at this point. You can see that dark blue line is the headline number compared to the light blue line is core. The headline number does include food and energy costs. You can see that's a more volatile series. That moves up and down more than the core number. And on the far right-hand side, that's really clearly aligned with the conflict in the Middle East. We saw energy prices move up drastically, and then headline inflation moved up. And when there was some progress towards a peace deal, energy prices retreated, and as such, the headline inflation did as well. What the Fed is mostly concerned about here is the core number being above target. They have a 2% mandate. They've been above that for 5 years at this point, and that has begun to trend upward. So the Fed has reiterated their focus on price stability at the last 2 meetings. They have not changed the policy rate. They've remained on hold, but they've been what we would categorize as hawkish pauses, where the commentary surrounding remaining on hold is indicative of a future rate increase, maybe sometime in the second half of this year. And then the second half of the Fed's mandate, which is another area we have close focus on, is the labor market. This is an extremely constructive story. The unemployment rate is at 4.2%. We're seeing some volatility in the participation rate overall, but this is a very zoomed in scale, and that low 60% participation rate is well within historical norms or averages. So seeing that 4.2% unemployment rate is indicative of a strong labor market where individuals are able to secure employment with
crazy. Did you have a question?
Yeah, if you back up on that previous slide, I thought I saw that the core was actually going down the last couple of months.
So
Could you address that a little bit?
It has softened some, and there's two different measures. There's PCE and CPI. We primarily are concerned with CPI in our day-to-day lives because it's a measure of the consumer prices. And then the Fed prefers PCE because it equates all consumers equally, not the overweight towards the urban consumers. So it is, we're seeing some softening, but the overall trend has been that inflation has been moving up some. We did get a really positive print in June that's 1 month of really constructive inflation. So we saw some prices actually moving lower in June. But the overall trend here is still that inflation is above target and moving away from the 2% rate. So we did see a particularly good month, but I think the Fed would like to see at least 3 of those strung together. So we're seeing 3 positive months or 3 months of meaningful progress towards 2% before they felt that was a change in the overall trend. So what is this taken into, summing this together, what did that do to treasury yields over the first half of the year, and it moved yields meaningfully higher. So when we came into the year, the market was expecting the Fed to be on pause and potentially take a cut at some point, potentially 2. That has completely pivoted now to expecting to see a Fed that is on hold with a bias towards a hike. So the market is currently pricing in the first rate increase, which is a 25 basis point increase, sometime this fall, so September or October. And that is a benefit to the investors' side. We're seeing higher yields up the curve, and we've seen yields increase anywhere between 36 basis points and 84 basis points. And this is exactly in the yield space that we're investing in as a interest rate. So as we reinvest here, this is a benefit to us. But we're back to a normalized yield curve where all the way from the overnight rate up to the 30-year bond is upward sloping, which has been many years since we've been on that fixed income, which is definitely a benefit to the fixed income investor. So our outlook, I've covered most of these, I won't rehash all of them here, but they're included for the record. Fed's on hold with a bias to increase, labor market is steady, inflation is above target. And then we've seen a lot of volatility, conflicting around every time there's a headline, whether it's positive or negative. We see volatility across asset classes. As today is an example of the run-up in equity markets looking positive news. Any questions on these topics before we take a look at one more? So moving on to the portfolio itself for the county, we have a market value of $420 million under management. We don't have a defined benchmark for these. We are investing them against the liability of the district. So the duration here is just over 1 year, and it's really a 3-year treasury ladder that we're currently running. So every time the treasury matures, we're reinvesting it out of that 3-year benchmark. I would point out, so that's how we end up with a duration that's relatively consistent here with equal weightings across all of the ranges, up from 0 months up to 3 years. What I would highlight is the sector allocation. This was previously being managed as a treasury-only ladder. And the first item I noted when I reviewed the investment policy in the portfolio was there are an array of other allowable investments that would be beneficial for the authority to take advantage of. So that includes agency asset backs, and municipal securities. All 3 of these would enable spread pickup over treasuries with limited additional credit risk or liquidity risk. They're all allowable under the state statute, which we'll review here in the upcoming slide. But that is, if I had a recommendation on what we could do to enhance total returns, it is to incorporate agency and agency asset backs into the portfolio as we continue laddering going forward. So that is the plan, unless there's any questions on that. It's in the investment policy, so no changes are needed on that. And then I have all the detail from the underlying accounts here as well. So duration ranges, you can see these are, for the most part, 1.4 or 1.5 years with relatively consistent book yields and market yields. The exception is the improvement fund, which we've been allowing maturities to remain in cash, as that has some spend down plans coming up. So working closely with the authority to ensure that we're remaining aligned with the needs of the funds or the liabilities of the funds, but consistent investment strategy across all of the underlying accounts. And then the investment policy here, so we do regularly review state statute and monitor any changes with regard to that. There are no changes that I need to be aware of at this time, so the allowable investments, I'm sure you're all familiar with these, but treasuries and agencies, along with bank products, municipal bonds, LGIPs, and then there are a variety of others, including some deposit products or commercial paper. Thank you. That's the big one I wanted to highlight. There's commercial paper that we could utilize within a pool product or an LGIP. So we wouldn't go out and buy that as an individual issuer for the agency, but the authority will be, we certainly will use it across our firm, so we do have expertise in that area. And then I'd like to just highlight the benefit here. So this isn't typically scientific on the yield pickup, but it does demonstrate right now we are in the treasury only allocation, so the lowest risk, lowest potential return, and we can incorporate agencies for a higher return. We're really looking at, like, on average, about 50 basis points of additional yield there. It can range anywhere between 10 to 75, but that's a meaningful pickup. So, and then all the way out the curve up to the commercial paper. So that does conclude my prepared remarks for this evening. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to discuss? Thank you all for your time. I really do appreciate it, and look forward to working.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, next is the order regarding our annual review of rules, policies, methods, and list of authorized brokers for the investment of the authority's fund. Each year, the authority is required by the Public Funds Investment Act to review our investment policy and investment strategies, as well as to review and adopt a list of qualified brokers, and that are authorized to engage in the investments of transactions with the authority. Tab 4 has the order of the annual review and a copy of the authorized brokers as an attachment. Working with the authority's investment advisors, we've conducted our annual review of the policy, investment policy, and strategies, and the list of brokers, and based on this review, confident our investment policies and strategies are compliant and acceptable. I'd like to recommend the authority adopt the order regarding annual review of rule policies, code of ethics, and list of authorized brokers for the investment of
Your motion?
Motion.
Director Brown, please motion. Any further discussion?
Yes, I would just like to say, I appreciate the good governance of the periodic review and the staff that bring the support of the board.
Okay, and I would like to get to know you gentlemen before you scoot out tonight, or some other time this can be, so. Ready for a vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, and I'm sorry if we missed you when we talked about
Oh, okay. Better late than never. We'll move on to the general manager's report.
Okay, first up, we'll go over status of surface water supply conversion. Here's our chart we look at every month. Let's first start with all the way on the right-hand side of the chart is July 2026 water deliveries averaged about 43 million gallons per day. So if you compare to last month, our rainfall, I'm sure we've all noticed rainfall has gone down, temperatures have gone up compared to last month. It is definitely starting to cook here. So water usage, our surface water deliveries have gone up, which is to be expected with increased temperature and decreased rain. So thank you to all of the MUDs that are connected for taking surface water. That is actually our highest month on record as far as deliveries so far. And you compare it to July of last year, which had consistent weather patterns to July of this year. We've been able to deliver a lot more water because we did bring on about 2 dozen more water plants onto the system. So that's the difference between last year and this year. So that's looking at July. So, and groundwater data, as we've talked about, we don't have everything on to the automated system and we're working through that, but we get the data a little bit later once everybody reports it into the self-report system, which anybody who's listening, we are going to be converting our billing system. Cindy's cheering because I'm reminding, so for anybody who's here in the audience or who is online, when you go and log into our current billing system, it's going to be asking everyone to update your user contact information so we can make sure to collect that, to input it into the new billing system. We will also keep you updated on the new billing system. So once the new billing system goes live, we will then be able to start working on the people who have the smart meters, getting the smart meters into the new billing system. And then we still have some more meters that need to be turned into the smart meters to then get them into the smart billing system. So we're working our way through it, but soon it will all, we'll keep chipping away at that. Please fill out your user contact information in the online pumpage reporting system when you go report your pumpage.
We see the excitement in your.
I know, I told her I'd do a plug, we're doing a plug. Okay, so let's talk about June then. So last month, as far as conversion, we also had a record-breaking month for us that we got up to 44% converted. So when you compare June of last year to June of this year, similar weather patterns. So that's, once again, we've got more MUDs that have come online that we're able to deliver more surface water to. We're still below our 60% mandate, but we're chipping away getting there.
Thank you.
Okay. I even had the numbers printed out in front of you this time. You wanted rainfall data?
By the way, today is Amber's birthday, so
Happy birthday.
So next one is the request asking the board to authorize general manager to negotiate and execute a interlocal agreement with HGSD, Metropolitan Subsidence District, for the sponsorship of the water conservation program. So as you all know, the authority is behind our conversion requirement. We're behind in terms of we don't have enough credits. And one of the main reason we did not have enough credit is the delay of the delivery of the Northeast County expansion project. And because of that project delay, we did not get enough over conversion credit. And therefore, we are in very much in danger to exhaust all of our reserve of credits and actually needs to pay disincentive. So in order to address that, we have discussed with these HGSD, and the board authorized me to negotiate and execute purchase contracts to purchase the credits from the entities who's willing to sell their Series B credits. So far, we have not moved very far for two reasons. One is they are relatively small in quantities. Of the potential purchase that we have proceeded so far, we will get less than $1 million. We need $1 billion. The second reason is some of the entities who has those credits to sell still asking for unreasonable price. And we have indicated very clear to all of the entities that who has been listed on the willing to sell party list, that we will not, authority will not pay anything more than what we could get directly from HGSD. So with that, we also join the city, we will help the city file countersuit with the city's contractor for the damages that caused by the delay. And we have now, in principle, settled the case, and we will get a settlement payout from that settlement. Although the settlement has not been officially finalized, but the preliminary negotiation has been done, the memorandum of understanding has been signed, so that I have the confidence to tell the board that we will receive funds for the damage that we have suffered, and we can certainly use those money to purchase the credits that we otherwise could have earned if the project is not delayed. So with the need, with the funding available, we approached HGSD, and we're very interested in participating in their WCP program. And I have also engaged discussion with them that in addition to the student education program, which really just get us the credit, I would like to participate other part of the program, which at least will generate some actual benefit for the authority and its ratepayers. And so the interlocal agreement allow us to negotiate and into this agreement with the district so that we can participate into other programs and potentially receive some partnership funding, or I don't think they want to call it grants, so I just say funding from the HGSD. So the discussion is still ongoing, but I would like to ask the board to give me that authority to negotiate and execute the interlocal agreement when the terms is finalized.
Mr. Chang, thank you for all this. Did you say the program was gonna maybe help identify leaks and one-offs? Is that what the program is?
The project that we can fund
Okay.
as part of the WCP must meet those three categories. This three category is demand management, water loss mitigation, and water loss reduction.
funded.
Right, we can fund those projects other than use all the money to, school kids' education. And they may not even have that many schools.
So this is not, it's not adding work to what we would necessarily have to do anyway. It's taking a portion of that work and getting credit for it. Is that roughly speaking correct?
Portion.
Well, something we would already do anyway, not adding to,
Correct, yeah, no,
not adding to what we already.
yeah, we would need, let me say this, we would need to do those as our system is aging. So we will need to do some, projects such as condition assessment, leak detection, those are all eligible to, WCP.
Okay, and just a side comment, is the city of Houston participating in this leak detection and minimization?
I don't think so, because they have tons of equipment already. They used to participate kids' education. They even have a education center at the Northeast plant. That center is now closed, and they have plenty of credits. I don't think they are participating, but I'm not sure.
I'm just curious, since they have so many leaks.
There's still bottled water there.
No, that's
Fills that
not,
too.
that's not.
Okay, do we have a motion to?
Just a quick question.
General manager.
Just a real quick question. Sorry, okay, had a lot of mud. June, how far behind was the East
Hang
plant?
on, hang on. Any objection?
No objection.
Okay,
June, how far behind was the East plant when coming online?
2 years.
East plant?
The freshwater plant on Lake Houston, how far behind?
They are complete now.
But I mean, how late were they?
They were 2 years late.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do we have a motion to authorize? Who's that?
I'll say
Director Fessler, has motion, as Mr. Chang has requested. Do we have any further discussion? Yes?
I just want to thank Mr. Chang for going over this with me previously and sharing what all this program is going to be able to do. So if participating in this provides additional compliance and flexibility, helps lower costs for ratepayers, then I believe it's a prudent decision.
Thank you.
Any others? Seeing none, all in favor of Director Fessler's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you, members.
Next item is, a lease agreement with the city of Houston. I want to give some background. Each of the participating parties of the Northeast Plant Expansion Project reserved and paid for their treatment capacity at the plant. And we, North Authority, is the largest participant with 35% of the reserve capacity. And the city is the smallest participant with only 16% of their reserve capacity. And when we reserved our capacity, we were aimed at the demand of 2040, so that we have enough capacity that we can supply to our ratepayers at least by 2040. The city, on the other hand, apparently did not reserve enough, so they need more water. However, in the water supply contract entered with the authorities, there is a provision that if any party used more than their reserve capacity, then they will have to pay a penalty or the contract language use different terms, but, I think it's called surplus rates or whatever it is called. And the city certainly does not want to pay the penalty. There is another provision in the contract to allow any party who does not have enough capacity to enter into a lease agreement with a party or parties that has excess capacity, that are willing to let that particular party who needs water to use that during the lease period. So the city has invoked that provision and sent a formal request to all the authority asking for a lease agreement. And I believe this is a very mutually beneficial lease agreement for the authority and for the city, because the city can avoid paying the penalty and the authority can receive revenue for the time being when we're not using all of our capacity. So the negotiation is ongoing. Therefore, I will not review what the terms are in this meeting. But I would like to ask the board to give the authority to continue to negotiate and execute the lease agreement with the city of Houston. And the reason I'm asking this now, other than wait until the final agreement is, until the lease agreement is finalized, is because the city really is on the time crunch. They have until end of September without being paid, start paying penalty, and then also this contract for lease arrangement also dictate that the city has to enter this lease agreement and therefore notify the other parties 30 days in advance. And so if they want to make this happen in September, they will have to take this to council in August. And that's why the urgency. I like our board to authorize me to continue the negotiation and execute that when it's done.
I'm moving to authorize our general manager to continue negotiations and execute.
Okay, Director Rowell is motion for general manager to have authority to do this as mentioned. Is there any discussion?
Hang on one question, Gene. You don't have to tell me what, because you haven't negotiated yet, but what is the normal timeline of these leases? Are you talking a year, 2 years, 3 years, what are we talking about?
The city is obviously one long-term lease, so they first throw out 20-year lease. I know 20 years from now, they own those water for ourselves. So, I don't want to go to the specifics, but I have proposed to either put a provision in the lease agreement that we will need it, and we can use it first. We have the power to use them.
So it's an exit clause essentially, that we could get out if we need it. Okay.
Because the last thing I want to do is hurt ourselves when we actually need it.
Okay. Has the city gone to all authorities or
Yes.
just us?
All of it.
So is this basically a big joint agreement? with
No,
all
sir, it will be
authorities?
individual, because the terms will be negotiated by each authority, and they don't have to be.
Okay. So if all the authorities were to say no, then where does Houston get its water at that point?
The city does have a choice. They don't have to take extra water. They can shut down one of the main valves, connect the northern system and this main system, and then pump groundwater.
Yes, they can.
Yeah, because they have a lot of credit as a state road. And that's one of the things I point out to the HGSD, that we provide surface water to the city to reduce the groundwater use is a good thing.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just want to say, thank you for negotiating that, and I appreciate that. We discussed this offline too. And it sounds like it's gonna protect our future needs, our water needs, so I believe it's a good business decision.
At one point, the city was losing more water per lease than we were buying. So, if fix their leaks, they wouldn't need us, right?
Yes. Fixing leaks also costs a lot of money, which they don't have.
It's cheaper to throw the water away. Okay,
They're always short of money. They always have a budget crunch.
I could ask for more, but you don't say you have enough.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0, it passes. Thank you, member substitute.
Thank you. Next one, I think, Cindy, you want to put that?
Sure, the next item is to approve and authorize execution of the financing agreement with the Texas Water Development Board in connection with the 2026 State Water Implementation Revenue Fund for Texas. As we discussed at the last board meeting, we, have on the schedule that we do need this financing agreement approved at this meeting. And, it is to close, we're scheduled to close on $265 million of SWIRP bonds with the Water Development Board on December 10th, 2026. The financing agreement confirms our commitment to issue the bonds with the Water Development Board. This will be our 12th SWIRP issuance. We've done one every year from 2015 to 2026. And I'd like to request approval of the financing agreement.
Do we have a motion to approve the financing agreement?
So moved.
Okay, Director Brown moves to approve the financing agreement. Is there any discussion?
So moved.
Okay,
Well, I continue to believe the city of Houston should bear more of the financial responsibility for this project. Our responsibility today is to finance the authority's obligations as quickly as possible. If we're moving forward with these expenditures, I support securing low-cost financing through the TWDB to minimize the impact on our ratepayers.
any other discussion? I talked with, John Howell briefly today, and this will, ballpark numbers, end up being effectively about 50 to 60 cents a rate that it will trigger. We've got some
On top
ballpark.
of what we already did.
Correct, correct. That the 265 million will add something less than 50 cents per thousand. Just FYI. Any others? I would point out, as I have in the past, that I am not a fan of long-term government debt. This is not directed at any of the members, but I personally will vote no on this. So, any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. 4-1, it passes. Thank you, members. Thank you, Cindy. E, 6E, I believe this might be triggered by Director Brown at least. About the discussion of the water usage summary for the connected floods that we've talked about for 2 or 3 months already.
afternoon unless we have a chart or something.
No, we can chart. I think we emailed something to.
Yeah, I sent over the file that, so we had the forum with with all the mods who participated. We have a follow-up discussion that's aimed just at talking with operations staff. So that's gonna be forthcoming, that we're gonna meet with the operators and talk about. I think some folks asked to make sure that we had some very specific, should folks report if they do need to use groundwater, if there is an outage, if there's issues. So we've got a new email address put into play that we'll be asking everybody to use, and just trying to just share some information sharing session with the operators. So that's coming up here shortly.
Communication.
Yeah, it's
It's all about improved communication.
I would mention, for the audience and staff who may not have heard this, I actually had an interesting discussion with one of the MUDs. They've got 3 water receiving plants, and only one is hooked up. And yet, when I was talking to them about this issue in the last several months, they have managed to run their entire system at 98 and 100% over the last 2 months. And so I guess there's some MUDs that at least have the ability, depending on how their system is being run, that even if they're not connected to us on all 3 of their plants, or 2 or 5, whatever, they can do better than maybe we were assuming 2 or 3 months ago. So,
Gold star to that much.
yeah, that was Kleinwood, if they're listening, so good job, Kleinwood. Okay, any other discussion on item E, 6E? Seeing none, we'll go to 7.
So as you can see on the map, this is 31 Florida project. This is Western Valley, this is kind of orientation. This is what the master here.
We can't hear you back here.
Okay. So this is closeout for 31E project. I'll just give you an orientation kind of quick. It's located as Western Valley, like here, you probably cannot see over there. And most of project around Top Master. With this, we will be connecting to these 2 MUDs. Timber Lake, water plant number 1, and fresh water district 61 plant number 4. And the contract is ready with this one. And you can see the total conversion anticipated is almost 1 MGD, 0.9 MGD. And the contract amount was $11.369060 million. The unspent amount is almost 1 million plus. It's almost 9.3% coming back to us. That may be the question you can ask, why that is that? Because normally it's like 3 to 4% coming back to us. The reason for that is, if you look at the total amount, it's 9%. We have deducted change order, it was almost 400K plus. That was what they call, you can call VE, value engineering, during the construction. Originally it was jack and bore method of construction, then we ended up going for general direction drilling. There was 400K coming back on the table to us. So that was done during the field. That's how we got that much saved.
I thought it was good Jerry Hellman was cracking that whip.
That's what he told me.
So the request is to authorize the final acceptance of work and approve the final contract payment in the amount of $223,618.30. And pending TWDB acceptance and visible attendance. Any questions?
I move that we authorize the final acceptance of the work and approve the final contract.
Good, Director Rao has moved that we authorize final acceptance as put on the slide there. I just had one quick question before we take a vote, if nobody else has any. And I don't know if this is directed at June or Cindy, but both for the board's edification and the audience. So when we have a significant savings like this, where does that savings money, where does it go accounting-wise? What can we use it for next time?
So we actually reconcile this with your CIP process every year. So anything that we received SWIFT funding for has to still be spent on similar SWIFT projects that are in that same distribution system project. So what we look at then is at the end of the day, if there were savings on projects like this, that $1 million will be accounted for then, and that would be 1 million less potentially that we would need to close on next year, because now we have 1 million that's there from SWIFT. And we work through that accounting then with TWDB as to what did that remaining funding do last for.
Just curious. Thanks. Okay, any other discussion on closing out 31E? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries 5-0. Thank you, members. Thank you, Raj. Item 8, I think, Zach, you want to tell us about this one?
Yes, sir. So you all have, three director positions up for election for the November regional election dates. That being voting districts 1, voting districts 2, and voting districts 3. So the final day we call the election for these director positions is August 17th, so this will be time to call it, or the last day of call August. So we prepared the water quality election, some previous, the electronic county. We also have on the agenda, authorizing general managers to execute the agreement with the county. We haven't received that yet, typically we don't contact till after the election on call, partly because they need to know before we send the election with provide process and stuff like that. We are aware and reminded of the situations from the 3 election cycles ago, and so we do have an employee director running over the issue that we are properly
Right.
We do anticipate having an election for at least one voting district, and see what happens if the run of the file on the 17th, or have your name on the ballot.
That's the Real's office.
Yes, sir. So we would recommend approving the water quality director's election for single member voting districts 1, 2, and 3 for the uniform election date in November. Is November 1st and 6th. And then also authorizing the manager to execute during the election contract.
That's an
Do we have this in our packet?
Yes, the supplemental agenda is behind the blue page, behind the regular agenda.
All 4 languages. Voting Rights Act requires us to be 4 languages.
How do I know these other languages?
Information services.
Google.
Okay, do we have an appropriate motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, been moved by Director Graham that.
Sir, are there any contested races at this point?
At this point, voting District 3 is contested. So, I think we know voting District 3 is contested so far. We've received 2 applications. We have not, more than 1 application to the. So, we do anticipate at least 1 voting district. Of course, there's always the opportunity to withdraw, there's a timeline in statute, there's some to withdraw, their application. At this point,
You remember what that is?
I don't recall it offhand. It depends, partly on timelines, I'll publish the ballot, which is using, because since we're a contract with the county,
And
Depends on, depends a little bit on how areas, so there's different timeframes, transfer.
Is the deadline 5 p.m. or the other time?
Yes, ma'am. I was looking at Mr. Ramsey's.
Okay, Director Graham has moved that we, what did you call this? Normally do this, the election.
Call it November 3rd, 2026 director's election for voting districts 1, 2, 3, and then authorize the general manager to execute a joint election agreement with that.
Okay, that's what I heard Director Graham say. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? My vote passes. Thank you. Thank you, Zach. Okay, that moves us to 9, board discussion of potential future agenda items. Seems like you have.
Yeah, security experts come in and look at things, look at whatever's necessary to improve our security and our vendors. I don't know, I vaguely remember something about it, but did that go over everything that we, our vulnerability? Yeah.
No, it's Big Brother.
Anything to add? Okay, then, the next regular meeting is tentatively scheduled on September 14th. Seems a little odd to be halfway through the month, but that's the way the Labor Day, everything worked out. Is there anything before we adjourn? Seeing none, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.